watching live to the greatest Cincinnati sports podcast based out of a 2-bedroom apartment in Lebanon, Ohio, this side of the Mississippi. How are we doing? How are we doing? 40 miles. We got Cincy James. We got Greg Luther. Bengal Dad somewhere in the abyss. And we got the commissioner herself. How are we doing?
Hooday.
That was the energy that I needed actually to wake me up a little bit today.
It's all false bravado. I'm tired as hell. It's 3 Mountain Dews and a Monster Energy.
I should have gotten one of those if that's what
I'm ready to go back to bed. That's all I got. I'm going to be quiet for the next 30 minutes.
I love it.
Oh, that's good. All right. Well, we've got Commissioner Yaz here, and she's ready to dive into everything, I think. That's what she was saying beforehand. No.
Let's do it. All of it. I'm ready.
So, James, I'll let you dive into the sponsorships here, the people that kind of help sort of pay our bills, if you will. First and foremost, Betfred Sports Book. There's another word to that. Sports book. Read it off, James.
I'm getting it.
Come on now.
If you did Birmingham first, it would have been so much easier.
We
But
do
with Betfred Sports
every damn week.
With Betfred Sports, legal sports betting is coming to Ohio, and it's time to place your bets with an established book. Since 1967, Betfred Sportsbook has been the home to better odds, better service, and overall just the better book. Pre-register today. You've only got a few days left for your chance to get a piece of more than $1 million in Fred Bets experiences and so much more. You could get a $20 bonus bet on January 1st. Get entered to win game tickets, more Fred Bets, and Betfred swag. Receive an invite to the upcoming Betfred launch party, which is going to have Anthony Munoz and all kinds of people. It's going to be sick. And you can get the Betfred welcome offer. Please use our code betfredsports.com/Ohio/Bengals12 to get pre-registered today.
You're so good. It's like you read that.
I do, baby.
Smooth as silk, James. And our other one, Brimminghorn Meadery. Sorry if you weren't prepared for that. It's our little Viking horn that we do. Do you like honey? Do you like wine? Do you like alcohol? Do you like getting a buzz with wine, alcohol, honey? Sweet wine honey. That's basically what mead is. Based out of your favorite meadery in Delaware. Shipping to most of the states except you, Montana. Don't know why you messed up, but you know what? You can't get any mead from Brimminghorn. It's a wonderful place, a wonderful product. I don't drink much myself, but I've had it a couple times down at Bengals Bomb Squad. It's actually pretty damn good. Do recommend 10 out of 10. A little bit of sweetness, a little bit of buzz, a little bit of happiness. Use our code HOODAY9 online. Get 15% off shipping. It's 15% off, which covers shipping on orders of 2 bottles or more. See, I don't need to read things. I'm kind of illiterate, but I can talk.
You're killing it.
Yeah, got a lot of people in the chat. Hooday. Oh, he forgot and Lady. Got Hooday.
Us. Shelly.
Yeah, my mom. There she is.
I love that.
Kane, what's up, bro?
Yep, Kane's in here too. Commissioner Yaz, how you doing? There it is. All right. Greg, well, I know you've got a bunch of questions. Why don't we just kind of dive right in here and then we'll get her started.
Well, Commissioner Yas, first of all, thank you so much for coming on. I know you got a busy schedule. I can't thank you enough. My question is, give everybody a little background about yourself. You know, where you grew up, how you became a Bengals fan, and what you do now. What you do now with Ride with Yas and all that, if you would.
Yeah, I'd love to. First of all, thank you for having me, and I'm glad to, and I'm happy to be here. And I'm glad that you asked that question because I think that a lot of people that don't know me or haven't followed me for a while think that I became a Bengals fan when they got good. And some people have seen on Twitter, sometimes I fight back because it gets under my skin, but I actually grew up a Bengals fan. I'm from California, born and raised, but back when I was 13 years old, which was a long time ago, my brother-in-law used to always watch Bengals games because he loved Chad Ochocinco. And I have always loved sports. I knew that I wanted to work in sports when I grew up. And so I would watch the games with him. I started following the Bengals because of Chad Ochocinco. And then one year, 2009, the Bengals played the Raiders here in Oakland, which is very close to where I live. And they took me to the game. And that also happened to be the game that Chad was having a fan meetup. So the day before, if you went to Oakland and met him at this place called Scott's, you got in line and you got to have lunch with him. And so I got to go there and do that. And it's funny because there is no Bengals merchandise around California, especially back in 2009. So I really wanted to wear something Bengals related. So my sister took me to the store and I got the iron-on paper. And I went and bought a black long sleeve shirt and I printed out the Bengals logo and I printed out Ocho Cinco and I ironed it onto my shirt and I wore that, which is now so embarrassing, but funny. And I got to meet him. We got to talk. I gave him my Twitter at the time. And it was just the coolest first experience that you could have ever. And so that happened. They ended up losing that game on a field goal. Wasn't ideal, but they went on and I stayed a Bengals fan. And then all through college, everybody would make fun of me for it. Like all the guys, it was always a talking point. Like, he's the Bengals fan, blah, blah, blah. And then when the 2015 season came that we started 8-0, and that was the best time ever. I think I was a sophomore, junior in college, and it was just so fun to watch the games every week, bragging to all my friends. And it just stuck. And then during quarantine, I started creating Bengals content. I saw that this space was very, very empty at the time because the Bengals were not getting any wins. They weren't good. And I was like, I'm sitting here miserable watching them every week anyway. So why not just do something about it? Like, why not bring people together? And slowly but surely, I started finding Bengals Captain, Bengal Jim, all these other people building their identities on Twitter, and we all kind of jumped in together. And now we have this ginormous community and it's awesome. So here I am. I don't know. I always joke with my family and say that I think that it was always meant to be, like, just being so young and being where I am now and the way it all worked out. I think this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
You know, Yas, that's funny you bring that up during COVID and all that, because I think to myself, obviously COVID was a miserable time for everybody. But for Bengals fans, that's how I connected, like you just said, all those people on Twitter, all these Bengals now, Bengal Jim, Tigers Talk, our show, a bunch of other shows. Could you argue in a way COVID helped out the Bengal fan base in some aspects?
Oh, for sure, because everybody was spending time at home and everybody started creating content. Everybody was spending more time online. And I think that although obviously we see the Bengals stuff more than anybody else, I do think that we are one of the strongest fan bases on Twitter. And I've seen that whether it's on Spaces, through just like anything social media wise, I think that we do a really good job with our online presence. And I think that it started back during COVID for sure.
Absolutely.
Oh, definitely. Well, I've got a question for you. So obviously this world, we'll call it, is kind of male dominated. Obviously you're a woman. What kind of things have you had to overcome to get to the point where people start respecting you and you're able to talk to people and they're like, okay, she knows what she's talking about. No questions asked. She's good.
Right. So that was something that I tried to establish right at the beginning, way back. I think it's September 2020. I put out a video and it was just me sitting in front of my camera. And I basically said, I think that week I had been tweeting a lot about football and it was like X's and O's type of content. And I was getting a lot of backlash and just people that didn't agree with my opinions. But instead of saying like, oh, there are two sides to this argument, because you're a woman, you're wrong. So I put out a video right at the very beginning and I was like, listen, I know what I'm talking about. I can talk X's and O's with you if that's what we want to talk about, but I'm not here to prove anything to you. So either respect it or don't follow me. And I think like from the very beginning, and that video may very well actually be what got me a big chunk of my followers, because it like went on. And I kind of just said like, I'm going to talk about sports in the way that I love sports, and everybody looks at sports differently. And if you don't view them the same way as me, that's okay. And I think it kind of started there. And over the past 2 years, it has been hard. Like people always tell me, you have to have thick skin. And I say to them, I do have thick skin. I have been doing this. And for the most part, I try not to let people get to me, but it does suck when, like, if I say something, for example, I work for a company called The Game Day for people that don't know. I used to do a series with a guy named Adam that was all NFL related topics. And during the off season, we were doing a bunch of predictions and stuff, and I could say a take, and in the comments, there would be hundreds of comments of people just saying the meanest things about me. But Adam could say the same take, and it was a completely different thing. But it was just because I was a girl. They were always coming towards that. She doesn't know what she's talking about. Get her out of here. All this stuff. But I think that it also helped me in a way, because instead of continuing to try to force myself into this space, I found a different lane. I was like, you know what? I know that I know the X's and O's. I know that I know football, but I don't have to prove that to anybody. So what other direction can I take? And instead, I think I inserted myself through more like hyping the team up, bringing people together, that aspect of it. And it still allows me to work in sports, and it's been really fun. So it's an interesting thing, but yeah, people should be nicer.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Greg, go ahead. Yeah, I know you got a few more.
So yes, I remember. I know you do a lot of Twitter Spaces with Zim. Well, I know Zim from Twitter, which I BS right now, but that's a different story. But my question is, like, I remember you were talking with Zim on a Twitter Space one time. The perception of the Bengals, like, you would have people that say, "Oh, I've never wanted to go to a Bengals game," but I remember you say now people are like, "Hey, can you get us tickets to the Bengals game?" What is the whole perception of the Bengals outside of Cincinnati right now that you see?
Yeah, I think that's so funny. That was a big thing that I think I've been a part of, is growing up in California. I always saw you say the word Bengals and you just get disgusted looks from everybody, because it's almost ignorant. Like,
Yeah.
it was just so, like, that was the first thing, like, oh, Bengals, ew. Like, I'm like, what do you even know about them? Like, you're just conditioned to say that, but you don't even know why you're saying that, right? So that's how it was really my whole life. And then once I got to go to Cincinnati for the first time and see the city and see how, like, it's such a cool place. I will say I've gotten to live in very cool cities, and Cincinnati is one of my favorites. People idolize and love LA so much. I lived there for 8 years. I love Cincinnati, and people like cannot like understand that, and it's so funny. And so when I went to Cincinnati and saw, I would always tell people it's my best kept secret, but I'm going to make it my mission to make sure everybody knows what great of a place it is. And that's kind of how I started doing all my partnerships and giveaways and stuff like that with places in Cincinnati, because I wanted their voice to be louder. And over time, I think that people also started to recognize it. And then I think Joe Burrow, Jamar T obviously brought so many people to the city to see how different it is. And I think now people are kind of seeing, like, it's cool to like the Bengals. They're swaggy. They're fun. People are always telling me now, like, you got to take me to a Bengals game. I'm like, where were you 2 years ago when the tickets were half the price? I'm like, you want to come now? Okay. But yeah, I think it's been cool to see the change, and I think it's only going to get better from here.
Yes, I'm like that too. Like, I'll go on Facebook or Twitter when the Bengals go in the Super Bowl, and I would just see people that have used to be so against the Bengals, and I kind of want to be like, "Oh, now you're on the train,
Right?
Now you're on the train." And don't get me wrong, you need to build up the fan base, but at the same time, like you said, it's like, "Oh, you weren't this way 2 or 3 years ago," so
Right.
I get like that too. Like, I'm the type of person where I don't forget stuff like that. So yeah.
The funny thing about that is that I always welcome new fans. I welcome the bandwagoners. Anybody that's
Right.
going to talk good about the Bengals, I'll take you. Let's do it. Join in on the fun. But it is funny to see the switch up. Like, I'm never one. I am 100% not one of those fans that's like, you weren't here in the bad years, you can't be a fan now. I don't care about that. You can start being a fan at any point in time.
Right.
That's fine with me. But I will say that it is funny to see how it's changed, but that's okay. That's what we want, right? We want the team to be more liked. We want people to adore them. So if that's what it takes, then that's what it takes.
Yeah, you'd never get any new fans if people treated it that way.
Exactly.
Right.
This 3-year-old that wasn't here in the 90s isn't allowed to be a fan because they weren't here. Like, that makes no sense.
Exactly. People always try to say that to me too. And something that's funny is I look young. I guess that I get that a lot, and that's okay. But I'm actually 27, and people don't know that. So they'll always say, like, you don't understand. You weren't here when the Bengals were bad, blah, 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 all this stuff. Or wait a couple more years and you'll see it. And I'll be like, how old do you think I am? And then you stop them in their tracks and you're like, that's what I thought. But yeah, I mean, some people just aren't willing to let go of the past. And
No. the older age demographic, I'm going to say like 50 and up. Yeah, they're like, that's exactly what my uncle would say to me. You did not know what Mike Brown was like. Like, look, I don't care about the past. Let's worry about now and all that. And like you said earlier, like James said, you have to build up the fan base. I'm willing to let people back in, but like I said, I don't like. I'm just get so tired of the past being brought up. I'm worried about what's going on now. But let's just keep moving forward like we are doing now.
I agree with you on that.
Greg, didn't you have a question about? I think it was tailgating or
yeah, no.
It might have been the whole ride with Yaz.
Yeah, so explain the whole ride with Yas. I believe that's where you go around tailgate to tailgate. Yes. So my question to you obviously is, what was your favorite out of all the tailgates you visited? What was like your most favorite tailgate if you had to pick one?
Okay, so obviously Cincinnati is going to take the cake on this one. The energy in the city during Bengals games is just unmatched to anywhere else. I have done 2 seasons of Ride with Yaz now, and I would say Kansas City was up there. It was also the AFC Championship game. So obviously there were hundreds and hundreds of Bengals fans. There were thousands really, of both sides. It was packed. So I don't know. I'll have to see how other cities compared during playoffs because that was different. But I would say regular season game, week 1, week 4, Cincinnati, absolutely. After that, I had a lot of fun with the Commanders fans, which is so funny, but I also almost resonated with them because I felt like everybody that was out there was diehard. They were there to support the team. It was like the first week Taylor Heineke was starting, and I just felt like everybody that was there for the right reasons. They felt like they were ride or dies, and they were all having a good time. They had their different like influencers as well, like their version of the Bangalorean and stuff like that. And it was a really good time. I really like them. Another thing about the Commanders tailgates is a lot of their tailgates were partnered up with foundations. So like they were giving back to like kids. There was one that was giving back to kids. There was another one that was looking for blood donors for people with like certain conditions and stuff. And I thought that was really cool because as you bounced around, you could donate or like sign up to help, which was really cool. I would say I had a lot of fun there. And then I didn't have it's weird because if you try to separate tailgates and stadiums, I would say like didn't have the most fun in Baltimore. I wanted to, but their tailgates are set up a little bit different where like you buy a ticket and then you go in and it's kind of like an event. I don't know. It just like, it wasn't really that fun, but I will say Baltimore, as far as in-game experience, is ranked at the top of my list, and that's rough to do. And I know it's like words from a traitor, but they do such a good job. It was like everybody had like the props they gave out and the screens like are just placed really well. You can see like what down it is, what play, like just everything. They do a really good job. And then just all the graphics and stuff. So Baltimore is sitting at the top of my stadiums right now.
They've got a band too, right?
Yeah, they have. Oh yeah, their band was sitting right in front of me. Yeah, they have the band. It's just like a really cool. And then obviously the one that I was at, Nelly performed at halftime, which was fun. Like, because Nelly's kind of a classic. But yeah, and then I would say like maybe the worst tailgate was the Giants. I feel bad for them. It was just like the difference is that their tailgates are kind of like soccer games. Like everybody just has their lawn chairs out and they're just sitting down, hanging out. It's not much about like the partying and drinking. I think it's more family oriented, but I was kind of walking around trying to talk to people and nobody wanted any part in it. It was interesting. But yeah, I would definitely say Cincinnati's still sitting at the top. I'm excited to see how we are on Monday night because I was really excited to go to Philly. Obviously, Philly fans are crazy.
Yeah.
But Philly was very, very tame when I went. And everybody, I kept asking the people that were out there, I'm like, where is everybody? I heard you guys are crazy. What's going on? And everybody's like, well, it's Monday night. You got to think about it's Monday night. And I kept saying back to them, Cincinnati's not like this on a Monday night. So this Monday, it better not be like that because I kept saying that to everybody.
Yes, you got to be kidding me. Philadelphia is like Eagles are like the only organization that has like a jailhouse inside their stadium and all that.
Right.
So they were saying it was tame because it was Monday?
Yeah, they're like, it's Monday. Like, there's not as many people out tailgating because it's Monday. And I'm like, you guys are
And that's
7
the
and 0.
exact opposite of what
That's
Right.
it should be. Like it's a primetime national like
Exactly.
spotlights here.
that.
What
I
do
don't
you-
get. No.
Yep.
I
That's what
don't-
I said. They said it was Monday Night Football. And then I said back to them, I'm like, you guys are 7 and 0. It's a divisional game. And you've known about this game for 7 weeks and you didn't have time to request off work or ask to leave early. I don't understand.
Not that this is like the most glowing endorsement of Cincinnati, but there would literally be fires. Like
Yes.
those streets would have literal fires from parties. Like
Right.
what
And
are
it's gonna
we?
be pushing 60.
Right.
Yeah.
Someone would be in a dumpster somewhere. Like there would be all
Right.
kinds of havoc. Like
It'd be wild. Well,
I'm
yeah,
not
I
saying that I approve of that behavior, but there would be
It was
some
very
douchebaggery going on for sure.
I think it will be like that on Monday. I'm actually kind of excited to see how Bills fans will travel.
I was
Obviously,
gonna
we
say
all know
Bill's
they're
Mafia's
coming.
coming to town. They're not
Right.
gonna let
I
up.
think that it's going to be a really, really fun time.
Longworth will probably be open at like 6 a.m.
Not
There'll be people there.
Well,
Right.
the great news is, and I hope it gets at least some of the frustration gets mitigated after the game. But for the most part, Bills and Bengals fans have a fantastic relationship. There's not a whole lot of
Yep.
hate there. There's a lot of love.
Mhm.
Right.
So aside from what will probably be a couple isolated asshole incidents, I expect those tailgates to be
A blast.
very intermingled and very fun.
I completely agree with that. One of my favorite videos ever is the one when the Bengals won the game to send the Bills to playoffs or the wild
Yes.
card. And they remember the video of them in the locker room. It's
Oh,
just like, oh, it brings tears to my eyes. And then I remember that after the Bills sent the Bengals wings. And I don't know, that was like a few
Well,
years
they
ago. But
donated all that money to Andy's
Yes.
foundation.
Yeah,
I mean,
but-
that kind of kicked off the entire
Yeah.
relationship, if you will.
Right.
Yeah.
Which that's the side, I guess I kind of forgot to hit on this, but what I was trying to get at is like, that's the side of sports that I love. Like, I obviously love the game. I love talking about the matchups and that stuff. But I think that what is so special about sports, especially football, is that everybody gets to be a fan in a different way. And there's so many different aspects to it that aren't just what's happening on the field, but what the organization's doing, what the players are doing, all that stuff. So that's kind of what I have tried to and like will try to continue to bring light to is kind of these situations of what people are doing. And like, you know, not every girl loves football, going back to that, and that's okay. But some of them love these heartfelt stories, and there's a room for them at the table as well, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's one of my favorites. And I love like teaming up with other fan bases to take somebody down. That's the best.
Well, it's like my wife. She likes football to a degree, not nearly to the extent of me. And you know, I spent my whole life studying and coaching it, and you know, everything. I haven't lived a day in my life without it.
Right.
But when we started dating, she was like, "Oh yeah, I'll sit and watch with it." And I was like, "I'm pretty diehard about this stuff." And she's like, "Oh, I bet I can get there." And I'm like, "You probably won't, but we'll see how this goes." But she ended up falling in love with a lot of like the side stories, and you know,
Exactly.
she trying to remember. I mean, she loved Andy, and then she saw that
Mhm.
Andy had the foundation for the kids with developmental disabilities, and you know, my brother has autism, so she was like, "Oh my god, like that's great." And then she watched Hard Knocks reruns with me, and she was like, "Oh my god, like these guys are funny." And she kind of fell in love with the personalities, and I always kind of would jokingly say it's the greatest reality TV show out there.
Right.
But once you really dive into these guys, you know, it really is. I mean, especially once you get the mic'd up moments and all the weird stuff. Once you find out these guys are, I mean, they're goofballs. I mean, when
Right.
I coached, some of my favorite stuff was just to kind of sit on the sideline periodically and listen to what some of these jackballs were saying. They'd say some of the stupidest crap. Like one of the weirdest ones. And it's kind of gross, but it's still funny. We had a kid sitting out there. It was probably 10 below, and he's, you know, looking at his breath, and he goes, "How come I can see my breath but not my farts?" And I was like, "This is what you want to talk about right now?"
You're like, focus on the game. Focus on-
But then once you get those mic'd up moments, and it brings these celebrities that you see on billboards, and you know the media makes them out to be these demigods, and you're like, oh my god, like that's they're weird like me. Like I love
Right.
this. And once you get exposed to that side of it, and then you start to really enjoy Andy Dalton for the person he is, you find yourself rooting maybe a little harder for him on Sunday.
Right.
Well,
And
one time, I forget which Bengals player got released, but a lot of fans were tweeting out, "I'm so happy this guy's gone." But I remember you said something very interesting. You said, "Look, these people are human too, and all that. Don't ever root for a guy to lose his job." That even got me thinking too. I never once said, "Hey, I'm so happy this guy's gone," but you pointed that out. These people, you learn they're human, just like we are, and all that. You should never root for a person to get fired from his job or anything. Yeah?
right. Yeah, that's something that I agree with. I mean, obviously there's always times, Bobby Hart, haha, when like some people leave, you're like, okay, yeah, it was time, see ya. But I never agree with the like publicly voicing it, because yeah, they are humans. And I think that what's that going to do for your karma, And
Right.
I don't know. I think it's interesting to kind of talk badly about people in that way. So yeah, if you were to scrub my Twitter, I can almost promise that there is no tweets ever taking personal shots at anybody, because it's not my place to do that. I can't play the game better than you. What do I have to say, right? But I mean, obviously there's critiquing, but there's critiquing and there's personal shots, and it's very different. And that was another thing that you actually made me think of, was that I think that kind of as a society, we've like failed women that want to like sports, because we make them think if you want to like it, then you have to know everything. And that's not true. And I think that's kind of where the men that's kind of where the men are threatened, because they're like, well, we don't want women in here knowing absolutely everything about sports or about football. And the truth is, like, when people say to me, you'll never understand it fully because you can't play and you can't coach. That's okay. That's okay. But I can understand it as much as I can to a certain point. And just because I don't understand it to that point doesn't mean that I don't get what's going on. And I think, like,
foremost, sorry for
right.
cutting you off.
No, it's okay. I actually agree. Yeah.
It's not that hard to understand. Like
you could Google it. I'm just kidding.
Well, I mean, I had zero background, right? I had none.
Yeah.
I was working at PNC Bank my senior year of college, and I had finished my sports broadcasting degree. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I called a local high school coach and said, I want to get into coaching. I'm young enough to where if I really want to take a shot at this, I'm going to let it rip for about 5 or 6 years, see what I can make out of it. I will do whatever you need me to do for free. Just teach me how to watch film. 5 years later, now granted, I fell into an absolutely golden situation. I had a state championship ring, and I had phone calls from St. Thomas University in Miami, Florida, asking me to interview as a GA to coach defensive line.
That's awesome.
I was a Pokemon nerd working at PNC Bank and just decided to try it. All it takes is the right person to teach you. It's not rocket science. So it's a willingness to learn and a willingness to have the right teacher or the person willing to teach you.
Yes.
And like my wife, when I would sit down and I would just pour over film endlessly trying, because I had to prove myself with zero background. I had 2 coaches in the NFL. I'm like, okay, well, I have to go up. And, one of the guys I worked with was Keith Rucker, who played for the Bengals in the 90s on defensive line. I got to go into the film room tomorrow and try and keep pace with Keith. So I need to make sure I do my homework.
Right.
And so my wife's sitting there and she's watching with me. And then someone came over a few weeks later and they're like, oh, Ashley's going to watch with us, kind of that it's a woman thing. And then she was like, well, what coverage was that, smartass? And she was like, well, that's cover 2 and that's cover 3. And I was like, she watches with me. Like so I can't stand the whole, oh, well, she's a girl, you're going to teach her. Well, then fucking teach her. Like,
right. Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Right. And I think it's also just like the ignorance of like, you have to be at level 10. Like, no, you don't. Like, she can be a fan, like your wife. She could be a fan at a level 6 and love the stories, and that's okay. And it's fine. But some people are just like very, very protective over the sport. And it is what it is. You just have to, if you want to work in it, you kind of have to find your footing, and you have to make sure that you just like plant your stake and you're ready to go. And that's kind of what I've done. I won't lie. Some days people do get to me. Some days I say stuff back. Some days I'll just delete the app and I won't go on Twitter for a
Get the
few
hell
days.
off my page, that one.
Yeah, I'm like, see ya. Some days I'm mean. Like one time I told somebody to shut up, and then after I was like, okay, you probably didn't need to do that.
Nah,
If you think that's mean, you should scrub my accounts. Holy hell!
gosh,
Oh, no, I've gotten into some shit. Let me tell you.
yeah, I clearly don't get as bad as you, but one time I was watching the Bengals and Browns game. This guy I know that's on Facebook writes on my wall, "Your Bengals are playing like the Bungles." I'm like, "That's it, you're blocked." And one guy's like, "We have a right to say what we want to say." Yeah, don't write it on my Facebook or Twitter property.
Yeah, go somewhere else and say
Go
it.
somewhere else and say it. That just set me up. Don't speak negative on my page, on my property, and all that. So that's
Right.
I just couldn't take it one time. So I'm sure you have it a way lot worse, but I can't take it when people are like that.
I try not to look at them. Where people get really mean is in the DMs. Like they won't say it to you like out loud, but they'll say it in the DMs. And then the thing is, I just won't look at my DMs for weeks, and then I'll see things like you guys will send me a message or something, and I'll be like, oh no, he sent this 5 days ago. But all the people being mean to me give me anxiety, so I don't look at my DMs, and therefore I missed your important message. That the funny thing, the game day when they were trying to pitch Ride with Yaz to me, which completely changed my entire life, they kept DMing me, and I just kept not seeing it because I refused to look at my DMs.
Right.
And then finally one day, Dennis, who's like the production manager, tweeted at me and was like, hey, I sent you a DM. Please look at it. And I went and looked, and they had been trying for weeks. I'm like, I'm so sorry.
4 months ago.
You don't know if it's going to be like an evil person. Yeah, no, I totally get that. Yeah, so
I'm working on it though.
You get job opportunities, praise, unsolicited pictures, all kinds of good stuff in there.
By the way, Yas, I do have a question. A person wanted me to ask you this. When you visit Cincinnati, you like to visit restaurants. What are your top three restaurants in Cincinnati that you're like, I have to go here? It doesn't have to, it can be big, small, whatever.
Don't lie. If you hate Skyline, it's okay.
Oh no, I love Skyline.
All right.
Really do. I really do.
Yeah.
That's funny because there was one night that we went week 1, and we went to like the Bengals fan meetup at Holy Grail, and I wanted to leave to go to Skyline, and nobody would leave with me. And I'm like, you guys are so fake. Like, can we just go get Skyline and we'll come back after? And nobody wanted to. It's fine. But my favorite restaurant in Cincinnati is Pep and Dolores. Their pasta is just so good. I love it. Every time I go there, I get 3 different ones and then take one back to my hotel. Pep and Dolores would probably be my favorite. And then I guess it's not really a restaurant, but Coffee Emporium. I'm a big coffee girl. If you guys follow me, you know I have like 3 a day. That's a stop that I always make. And then if I have somebody with me that hasn't been with me before, I love taking them to the Eagle because I just feel like everybody loves it there. But Skyline is probably like my guilty pleasure. If I'm like, it's after a game, I'm like, let's go to Skyline.
So yeah, Dallas, like when they say, let's go get chili, would you ever try to bring back Skyline? What would they say? What would Dallas people say? Would they be like, what the heck is this? You
know what? Everybody, once they try it, they're surprised. Like they hate on it in the beginning. And then once they try it, they're like, oh, this is actually good. I actually brought my best friend from California when we played the Chargers last year. Her and I went to Cincinnati, and we went to Skyline after the game. And like after, she said to me before, like, I wish we could have Skyline. I'm like, me too. So yeah.
Have you been to a Reds game?
I have not been to a Reds game. I haven't been to Cincinnati, not during football season, except once.
Hold on. The reason I ask is because Skyline is the sponsor, the official chili of the Reds, and Gold Star is for the Bengals. So when you go to a Reds game, you get Skyline and you can get La Rosa's, and people are putting a Skyline coney on a piece of La Rosa's pizza and calling it a Sky Rosa.
They wrap it up like a big burrito.
Wow. Okay, I don't know if I could eat that. I mean, I could take a couple bites. I don't know if I could finish it. I'm not going to say anything bad about Gold Star because I eat it every time I'm at the stadium. But
I'll eat both.
I wish that Skyline was at Faycor.
I wouldn't argue.
Well, it's one of those things where Skyline spends a lot of money with the Reds, and they do a lot of advertising in a lot of different places in Cincinnati. And this is just one of my buddies is with Gold Star's marketing. It's like 99% of their entire marketing budget goes toward the Bengals to secure them. Yeah. Gold Star doesn't do a whole lot on TV. They don't do a whole lot of billboards. It is strictly anything you see has a Bengals logo slapped on it too. So they have cornered the Bengals.
Yeah, they're like, we're doing this, whether you like it or not. Yeah, that's funny.
But to give you some help, and I'm sure you've gotten it because I know you've got connections with Bengal Jim and Bengalorean and Cap and Jess and all these people as well. There's like a billion different chili parlors in Cincinnati, not just Skyline or Gold Star. And there's quite a few that if you go into the suburbs, they're kind of mom and pop ones. It's all going to taste kind of similar, but they're open like 24 hours. So if it's really late, you can find some. Like
Camp Washington.
Dixie Chili, Camp Washington.
Oh, I've been to Dixie Chili in Covington.
Yep. So Dixie Chili's open late. The Skyline on Ludlow's open till like 4 a.m. Like Camp Washington's 24 hours, 5 days a week. Like good
to know. I'm always hungry very late in Cincinnati, and that's my one complaint is I can never find food. But the very first time I met Zim, we were starving, and we had went like it was the Thursday night late game, and then we had all went out after the game because they won and it was fun. And then me and Zim were like, we're hungry, and the only place that was open was Dixie Chili, and we went there. And I was like, great.
Yeah, it's in Cincinnati for late stuff. You're looking Taco Bell, White Castle, Waffle House, or one of the chili parlors.
Right.
Yeah.
I got to try one of the chili parlors. That's on my list for next week.
So like Pleasant Ridge and Blue Ash Chili, they'll have a lot wider menu. So if you go with someone that's like, I don't know if I want to try it or not, and there's like, I'm just not going to eat if we go kind of thing. Like those places have burgers, double deckers. Okay. They'll do a lot of Geta. I don't know if you've had Geta yet or even know what it is.
I haven't had it, but I've seen it, been around it. I fully
fried sausage scraps.
Yeah, I'm not there yet.
Please tell me you tried Raiders ice cream, man.
Oh,
yes, of course.
Okay,
I have had it.
Just making sure. Okay.
There's Mom right there. Calling after discos in the 70s.
I love that. I'm jealous. I want to go to the disco.
Yeah.
Pork chop saying Anchor Grill.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Okay, good to know.
Well, yes, as you know, I was at the Super Bowl. Not only you met me, you met my sister, my sister-in-law, and my mom. So you met like most of my family at the Super Bowl. But I have to ask you, the perception. I'm like going to LA. I'm thinking I'm going to get just berailed by all these Rams fans. And when I get there, all the fans are nice as can be. And I didn't think half the fans in LA really gave a crud. Their team was in the Super Bowl. Like when I was in the Super Bowl, I'm thinking to myself, there's more Bengals fans than Rams fans there. Even The Rock, who did the intro, even said he heard more Bengals fans than Rams fans. I mean, were you surprised? Do you agree with that? And were you surprised yourself?
I fully agreed with it. I wasn't surprised. Cincinnati is a sports city. Like, don't let anybody tell you any different. Yeah. Cincinnati is a sports city. Dallas is a sports city. The Mavs, the Stars, the Cowboys, they run Dallas. Cincinnati. Right. Sports city. There's other cities that are sports cities. New York, they want to be a sports city really bad, but they're not.
Right.
They're not. LA, not a sports city. And that's okay. There's places that just aren't. It doesn't work there. Right. And LA's a big one. It's just way too big. The teams obviously have like changed multiple times. And if anything, like a Lakers, let's say it was like NBA Finals, you're not going to find more fans of the other team than you are the Lakers. Right. But as far as the NFL not happening, I wasn't surprised at all. And that was one of my biggest things too. I'm like, they do not deserve this. They don't deserve this.
No, for years they've been arguing they want an NFL team. They got 2 NFL teams. And I'm thinking to myself, you guys have been complaining for years, and this is what I see right here. I mean, it's ridiculous. So
I completely agree.
That threw me off.
Yeah.
Well, I think the other thing is a lot of the bigger sports cities, if you will, the Cincinnati's, Dallas, I'll throw Chicago in that mix. There's a lot of blue collar suburbs in those cities that really drive that.
Yes.
You get to LA, New York, some of these, we'll call them glitz and glam places. It's just not a priority. It's not something that, growing up in Cincinnati, like the first words you learn were like Pete Rose, Ken Anderson, and you're going to wear number 14 for Rose, Anderson, Oscar Robertson, and you're going to go out and you're going to run as hard as you can through a brick wall and play like your hair is on fire, and you're going to do the city right. And it's just this grit, grind, and hustle. Chicago's the same way. Dallas is the same way.
Mhm.
And if you don't believe me about Dallas, look at high school football in Texas. It is everything.
Insane.
Right. It's the same way here. I mean, maybe not to the overblown effect because Texas, it's, top to bottom. In Ohio, it's Cincinnati, Columbus, and Cleveland have it, and then there's a lot of corn. But
Right.
you have those major effects are going to be in blue collar areas, more or less. And it's when you get some of the areas like New York and LA and like, oh, we're a sports town. It's like you have the Yankees, you have the Lakers, and you have money to be able to keep pumping, into those organizations to keep them going. But if they moved, you would just copy and paste a new team in there, and it would be the same thing.
Yep.
Right.
There's not this culture bloodline that you come up with the Cincinnati Reds or the Bengals, and it's part of your DNA that you get in other parts of the country. And that's when you look at the Rams Bengals Super Bowl. Well, the Rams just got there. Call it what it is. Bengals fans have been waiting for that moment for almost 60 years.
Right.
So it's, there's generations upon generations of struggle and grind and grit that went into that, as opposed to, I'm just going to move the team here now.
Yeah.
There's
I completely agree.
I don't, the roots aren't there.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I felt the same way when I was at the Super Bowl. I like always say this, and it's really sad, but I was filming the entire Super Bowl, which is fine. It's the reason that I was there, and I'm very thankful for it. I don't want it to sound like cocky ungrateful.
Right.
But I like don't remember the game. Like I kind of just like I was so focused on like the content and these are my bets and are these going to hit and blah blah blah, and you have a camera on you the entire time that kind of like when the game ended and I was on my way home and I might have just been so depressed about them losing, I kind of was like, this season I refuse to not be in the moment. So like right now we're about to go on this run. I'm zoned in. I'm taking it all in because last season was probably one of the most legendary seasons that Bengals fans will ever see. And it does kind of suck a little bit to feel like I don't really remember the Super Bowl. But
I share that. Very different reason. But I mean, last year, maybe it's a TMI moment. I don't know. I struggled with my mental health a lot last year. And I was bouncing between different medications for anxiety, depression, what have you. I remember being on such a high dosage of antidepressants during the Super Bowl. I was flatline the entire time. Most important game of my entire life. And I remember sitting there watching Cooper Kupp catch that touchdown toward the end, and I was kind of like, well, that sucks. And then I went back and I drove home. And this year I'm much more fortunate. Everything's much more leveled out, and I'm experiencing everything. And I'm kind of like, God, I hope we can do it again because I want to experience it because I don't feel like I got to experience it last time.
Right. And they'll go back. When you see this team, they'll go back. They're on their way. But I'm glad that you are doing better. And I share that sentiment with you because I definitely, people will ask me, how was the Super Bowl? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't really remember. So
I've watched it a billion times for film study, but I don't really.
I can't rewatch.
I remember Eminem. I remember 50 Cent being upside down. I remember like maybe 4 or 5 plays. That's about it, honestly. Like, I mean, I can replay it in my head through the film, but if I'm going back to actually where I was sitting in my dad's basement watching it, it's a blur. I remember we bought a ton, and they were the cheap ones on Amazon. Those stupid little fake Cartier glasses.
Oh,
we handed them out because we had like 20 or 30 people over for the Super Bowl. And I remember my dad putting them on. And my dad is kind of goofy, but he's very reserved, and these guys will speak for it. Mm-hmm. But I remember him putting on those Cartier glasses, and he looked at me and he goes, I'm feeling shiesty. And then everything from that moment to Burrow getting hit by Aaron Donald was a blur.
Yeah.
That's it.
I think the only play that I remember remember well was the Joe Mixon touchdown pass. That was like the one moment that I was like, and it's funny because I don't think we even have that on video. Like they had stopped recording at that point, and I'm like, that is the one moment that I will never forget. It was so cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know what? They'll be back. I'm not too worried about it.
Yes, I do need to. I do want to ask you this. Obviously, they put the jerseys. You and others got to go to this event where you got to see the jerseys beforehand. I remember this cool story. You said Elizabeth Blackburn came up to you, gave her your leather jacket. I got to meet her once, taste of Bengals, and based off everyone what says, I mean, Elizabeth Blackburn is just like a savior to this organization. I mean, she's got that. She's just so charismatic. She listens to the fans. She reaches out to the fans. From me and Elizabeth Blackburn, can you say the same thing?
Absolutely. She is one of those people, and I don't know exactly like how to describe them or like what category they're in, but it's those people that you talk to and they just feel so warm. Like you want to be around them. She is like very, very giddy and friendly and welcoming, but it's not in a like corny way or in a fake way. It's like you can tell that there's genuine excitement there. And it's like the way she acts towards everybody, and it was my first time meeting her at the time, is so like infectious that you're drawn to her really. And she listens when you talk, and she's really great. I really love her a lot. I haven't gotten to see her this season, but the couple of times that I got to see her last season, it was always the same, always just like really happy and willing to listen. And I was fortunate enough to get drinks with her and Caroline, her sister, last year at the end of the season. And it was really cool to kind of see her outside of the stadium, I guess you could say, and same person. And we weren't even really talking about Bengals related stuff. We were kind of talking about our lives, my story, her wedding, stuff like that. And she's still that same person. So it's cool to see that she takes that to the Bengals. And I think having somebody like that leading the way, like going forward, is going to be really, really good for us. Which Tori,
Tori, didn't you say she sits up in the 300? She could sit anywhere she wants in the stadium, and you tell me she sat right in front of you in the 300 section, didn't she?
When you so I went to a game. It was, I forget what game it was. It was a big one. I know that. I just remember there was a lot going on. But I went with Matt from Bengals and Bourbon. And I looked down, and he had told me before the game, he's like, yeah, Elizabeth sits up here sometimes. She's got season tickets. I was like, we're in 307. Why? Not that I want to air out. That's where her seats were.
Yeah.
But too late.
Oops. I'll edit that later. But we're way up there. And, there she was the whole freaking time, bouncing up and down, giddy, yelling, doing like the whole call and response thing with the stadium for all the graphics. And I mean, you would have never thought anything of it. You just thought it was another hyped up fan.
Right. And I think that's what she does so well, is to show like she is one of us. Like, yes, it is her family, which is really cool, but she is a fan of the Bengals the same way that we are all fans of the Bengals. Yeah. And I think that's a message that she really wants to get out to everybody, is like, she also cares about the team. She cares about the city, and she's going to show that. And she has told me before that the best seats are from up there. I think it's because of the whole view and stuff, but she has mentioned that to me before. So it's awesome to hear that she actually has sat up there.
Yeah, but another cool thing is I got to know the guy who runs the pro shop, because I live at the pro shop a lot of times when I go. And he says every time she walks in, she's the same person that she is on camera. She's no different than she is on or off camera. She's the exact same person. And when I met her, I could tell the same thing. So, I mean, she's, like I said, with the whole Ring of Honor thing, she helped out with everything. I mean, she's just rocking it. And she's still, and she's still not done what she's doing. So that it's just so awesome that what she has done for this organization and what she's going to do in the future.
I completely agree. I'm excited to see.
Well, I think this is probably a good place to say we got a big game coming up.
Yeah, just a little bit.
We do.
Monday Night Football, Bills, Bengals. Oh, my goodness, I'm ready. We're all going to be there. I'm taking my son for Christmas. So he's 11. He's going to be there. He's going to be super hyped, just like me. But we need to talk about some keys to victory. What is it going to take for us to get this done Like, what do we got to do? Yes. What do you think?
I think reduce turnovers. That's going to be my biggest one. I think it's going to be a big turnover battle. Keep the turnovers to a minimum and then force turnovers on defense. That's a big thing. I think forcing turnovers on defense is always great because it changes the momentum of the game. It kind of gives us the upper hand because you get in their head. They're now thinking about their mistakes while we could be thinking about, we just did that, let's go do it again. So that's going to be a big one. Another one after the Bucks game, I'm going to say time of possession. It was bad. It was not balanced at all during that game. So I would say another key would be to keep time of possession balanced or in our favor. Those are probably my two things. And then just play your game. I think really clock management. I think the talent is there. And let's just get that out of the way. I think the talent is there. It's really just going to be about how they manage the game. That's kind of where I'm at. What do you guys think?
Greg, Santori, one of you guys want to go first?
Score more points than the other team.
Right. Easy as can be.
My take is keep Josh Allen in the pocket. Do not let him get outside the pocket. Make him stay in the pocket like they did with Pat Mahomes. Cam Taylor, Britt, and Eli Apple, they're going to have their hands full this game, I mean, they've been doing a great job. Hats off to Louis Umo. I mean, he's just done a great job this whole season. But Taylor, Britt, and Apple, yeah, they really got to step it up. Everybody in the defensive backs really got to keep an eye on Gage and, who's their lead receiver? What's his name? Stephon Diggs. Keep an eye on those guys. And, the offensive for the Bengals, just it's going to be it's going to be a high scoring game, I think. But if we can just keep Allen in the pocket, just not stop and just try to contain him, I think we'll be good to go.
And to your point about that, he's got 746 yards rushing this year. I don't know where that ranks in the league, but I feel like that's probably top 25, maybe 25-ish.
Let's find out. We have the technology.
While you're looking that up, my key to the game, we've got to stop Russo. If we don't stop him, because my understanding is he lines up all over the place. He's not just over a tackle or over a guard. He's lining up everywhere. So the entire line has got to be on their game. And as Santori says all the time, you keep Burrow upright, we're going to be fine.
I agree. Are we worried about Akeem Adeniji?
No, I don't think. Gosh, you got to put it this way: with Collins out, our line is still 10 times better than it was last year. I'm not too worried. He played guard. He did not. He was not fit at guard. The times he did come in, he played really well. I have my faith in him.
He had some valuable reps last year.
Yes.
He was thrown into the fire last year. And he's talked about that this week where he's, he can't talk enough about how much that has helped prepare him for this season. When he's come in, he's been good. And he's got reps this year too. It's not like he hasn't played because every once in a while you see him and it's like 77 reporting eligible. He's coming in. He's coming in the block. He's coming in to maybe catch a pass. Probably not.
That would be wild.
Right. But, I think he's going to be okay.
I really do think.
It's not a sky is falling type of moment for me anyway.
Right.
Speaking of 77, we know this is going to be brought up. Would you guys take Whit? I don't want to change subject. Would you guys bring Whitworth back? Just hands down. I wouldn't be against it. I wouldn't be against it. I'm not going to be mad.
I don't think it'll happen, but I think it would be a fun story.
It would. I wouldn't complain. Let's put it that way.
Right.
Yeah.
So, here, Mom is asking, is McPherson going to be fine?
Yes. Back in the jungle.
That's right. I agree too. Santori, did you find where he ranks?
27th.
Okay, that's close.
Close. You got it.
Yeah. Keep him in the pocket. I think we could do it, guys. I think it's going to be a hard-fought battle, but I think that I know we definitely have the talent. We have the tools.
Yes.
we can do it.
This has been my saying the last 7 weeks. They're tired of me hearing this, but I'm just going to keep saying it because it's been working. So all the other teams that play the Bengals, don't stand on the tracks when the train's coming through.
Right.
It's been working, so I keep saying that.
Yeah. Santori, what's your key to the game? besides score more points?
I always just say the same thing. Keep Burrow upright. Honestly, no. If the issue with Josh Allen, if there is a hole in his game, is that he has a tendency to trust his arm a little too much. I don't know if it's an ego thing. I don't know if he just has that much confidence that he can make some borderline impossible throws, but he has a tendency to force them where they shouldn't sometimes.
A la Brett Favre.
Yeah, it causes some turnovers. Joe's been a little unfortunate with turnovers in the last 4 games, but Allen has had far worse luck, and his turnover-worthy throws are a lot higher. That's a stat that I really like to keep track of, and I'll pull it up here in just a second. But there's a lot of criticism that Pro Football Focus gets for we'll say their grades. I don't necessarily use them for their grades. I use them for their data because they collect fantastic data. Joe Burrow is pretty damn safe with the ball, right? His turnover-worthy play percentage is 2.1%. Meaning every time that he drops back, scrambles, runs around, whatever, 2.1% of the time he has what is deemed a play that could have caused a turnover. And if you throw a ball and it clanks off a receiver's hands or gets batted in the air and picked, that does not count.
Right.
They're talking about plays that Joe Burrow truly put his team in danger. Burrow's is 2.1%. Josh Allen's this year is 4.4%. If you look at the entire NFL, 4.4% on turnover-worthy plays. It's up there. Let me sort by minimum dropbacks here so we get rid of all this junk. It's top of the list. Number 1 in the NFL. Joe Burrow, on the other hand, is 3rd from the bottom. So Allen has a tendency to get a little bit loose with the ball. I would just say be a little bit strategic in your coverages, keep him in the pocket, and get him in a position where he thinks he can be Superman because he'll put the ball up for grabs, and he'll do it multiple times a game.
Gotcha. Well, we obviously we're sponsored by Betfred. We've got some big game picks via Betfred. These lines come straight from the app. So, and we're only picking games that could have an effect on us and our seeding. So we're not picking all the games, but we'll pick the Bengals and Bills last. But number 1, do we ride with the Broncos?
No.
Or do you go Chiefs?
Absolutely not.
Hell no.
Is there anything to the thing where you fire the coach and then the next game you play out of your ass and you eke out a win? Is there anything to that?
I'm usually the person that's fully on that side, but it's the Chiefs.
Yeah.
It's the Chiefs, and I'm going to use this loosely. Russell Wilson is in his own head, man. He's not the same.
No.
He's not the same person that he was 3 years ago.
You mean this talking to the ball? That's like
I
what was that?
I don't know what's going on. I'm not going to pretend to be in his head. But obviously the rest of the team doesn't really respect him right now. I think that's evident by the way the sideline acts during a game.
Yeah.
I think that the issues in that team run further than just getting rid of the head coach, and I think it's a lot of it's the quarterback too. If there's someone just as important as the coach, if not more important, it's a quarterback. And when your team doesn't trust him, there's a problem. So as long as he's there, I don't anticipate them winning, at least with his current mindset.
Is everybody good with the Chiefs winning by 13 or more?
They might win by 20. Yeah,
I'm cool with that.
Because
Yas doesn't know. You don't know, Yas?
That's a lot of points. All right.
Yeah, that is a lot of points. Now that you put it that way, I guess I should have seen that. I didn't, but I don't know. It's either going to be a blowout or they're going to win by 10.
Yeah. But if I had to guess, I'm going to still go Chiefs. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'll go Chiefs too.
I'm probably with you, but it might be closer.
It's gonna. No, I wouldn't surprise me. No, I'm just saying.
Broncos are going to get killed. it's going to be bad.
All right. Moving on.
Chiefs.
Moving on. We've got Dolphins and Patriots. Patriots -3.
Ooh.
No Tua. Remember that.
Yep.
Yeah. No.
Teddy Two Gloves.
I don't know. The Patriots, I mean, are they going to have another thing of series unfortunate events happen to them like it did with them against the Bengals? Because I don't think so. But I'm going to I like Teddy Bridgewater. I'm going to go Dolphins.
I don't know if the Patriots can score 3 points without a series of unfortunate events happening to them.
I don't think they can.
I think, well, see, this is where I'm like, they lost last week, so the Patriots are going to come in and they're going to take care of business.
Yeah.
They lost 2 weeks ago, too.
Yeah, I don't
Bill
know.
Belichick or Mike McDaniel. I actually kind of like Mike McDaniels. I think he's hilarious. Like, people are like, he's so annoying, but I'm like, no, he's hilarious. I'm like,
he's funny at times, but I can't respect the guy for putting Tua back in there time and time again.
Yeah,
getting them all.
Yeah, too. I mean, it's my heart. Oh my gosh,
it's going to be interesting to see what comes of this. But
that's 3 known concussions this year for Tua in the span of like 9 weeks.
You said it. Known concussion.
Yeah,
known.
That's really scary. If I was Tua's wife, I would be like, "You're done." Like, just like you have a family to build eventually. If that's the route that you want to take,
you have a life to live.
Well, no,
right, exactly.
Yeah, I know fans hear it all the time, and they get tired of hearing about concussions. Just coming from living that life, that shit's real, and to see the behavior changes that happen with people over time with this stuff, and the severe adverse effects. I hope Tua gets all the counseling help and everything that's going to come along with this, because this is going to be nasty for him.
100%.
I completely agree. I'm going to take the Patriots here.
All right. No. I've been going back and forth. I think Teddy Bridgewater will do well, but it wouldn't surprise me if the Patriots won. I'll put it that way.
It's weird because the Dolphins are kind of spiraling a little bit, but the Patriots kind of are too. Might be a battle of attrition.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Patriots.
It's close. It's a toss.
Santori, are you taking the Patriots or Dolphins?
Give me the Fins.
Okay.
I don't think the Patriots are going to be able to score much. And Teddy's still adequate. The line's still solid. It's still a incredibly complex defense or offense that Teddy does know how to run. It's still Waddle. It's still Tyreek. It's still Gesicki.
Yeah.
Well, can you guys agree during the Dolphins game, Teddy was actually doing a better job when Tua got hurt? Teddy was actually doing a better job than Tua was, I thought.
Well, I also don't know how healthy Tua was at the moment.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw how it went in the second half last week, and
right,
he's in concussion protocol. That stuff matters.
Yeah.
Right.
Next game, Rams, Chargers. Chargers minus 6.5.
I got to get Chargers. I want the Rams, but it's going to be Chargers. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Definitely.
I'm going to take the Rams and the points.
Because they just scored 50.
They just put up a 50 burger.
Yeah, but
that doesn't happen 2 weeks in a row, and the Chargers are good.
It might not. All
right, are you guys? I hated Baker the last couple of years. If I had to see one more commercial with Baker, I was going to lose it and all that and stuff. But I didn't like how the Browns treated him and all that. I mean, are you guys happy for Baker? Because I kind of am right now.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't ever hate Baker Mayfield. I thought that his whole exit of out of Cleveland was very dramatic and not ideal. And then going to Carolina and just being terrible, I kind of did feel bad for him. So I guess I am happy to see that he has had some sort of redemption. But
I'm not a big fan of him, but I just didn't like how Cleveland handled that whole situation with him.
Yeah.
I don't know. He plays that underdog shit too much for me to really fall in love with him. I mean, he's like, well, no one wanted me, and I was like,
number one pick.
You did.
Yeah.
They told me I wasn't good enough. You want a Heisman? You were the number 1 overall pick. You were given a ton of money, and you got picked up off waivers by a team that just won the Super Bowl. I don't understand why you think nobody likes you or doesn't want you.
Yeah, I don't
playing this crap with me, man. Just go out and play football.
Yeah.
You don't have to show people up when you want to win. I've some issues with some of the sportsmanship stuff and some of the attitude. I get that there's a driving motivation with the underdog stuff that helps him. but I'm very, very engrossed in what is the Baker Mayfield cycle, and I believe in it, and I've watched it. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that meme at all, but it's something along the lines of get embarrassed on TV, claim no one likes you, play well, beat an inferior opponent, get a false sense of confidence, and we're about right here, which means he's about to get his shit rocked by somebody. So give me the Chargers.
Chargers.
I'll take the Rams for fun. It's a good thing I'm not betting on it. Not actually betting on it. All right, next one. This is probably the most important one for us this weekend, besides our own game, obviously. Steelers and Ravens. Ravens minus 2.5. I'm going to go ahead and pick. I'm taking the Steelers. I hate that those words came out of my mouth, but I'm taking the Steelers.
Steelers.
There's no way the Ravens are going to get lucky against the Steelers defense. And Hackett, from my understanding, has been playing really well. Oh, Pickett. Sorry, I don't even know the guy's name. Pickett's been playing decently well, so yeah.
The Steelers are on a heater. What, they won 4 or 5 or 5 or 5 or 6 or whatever it is. Look, I know we all hate the Steelers, but these are some facts of life here. Tomlin's a damn good coach.
Yes.
They're a well-run organization, and they're getting better.
Yes.
They got rid of the guys that didn't want to be there, much like the Bengals did about 3 years ago. They're in the middle of a little bit of a rebuild, and
awesome.
it's still going to be a tight game because it's Steelers in Baltimore, but Lamar probably isn't playing. He didn't practice today. The Steelers are a lot better than what people think. The Steelers are a lot better than what people think. And they need to be ready for that next year because they're going to come out full of piss and vinegar next year.
Right. Well, then we're all taking the Steelers. And, yeah, I mean, I'm more rooting for a Ravens loss here.
Oh, for sure. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. All right. The one we've all been waiting for. Bills -1 against the Bengals at home.
I can't do it. I never will predict scores or call a game beforehand. I just can't do it. It's my own superstition.
That's cool.
I am very happy with the Bengals, and I think that this is going to go well in our favor.
I'm gonna use what Greg did. I'm gonna use the ball that Jermaine Pratt threw my son.
That's so cool.
And I'm gonna just put that up there. So I'm not really saying it, but I am.
Love it.
Santori?
If the Bengals win, I don't think it's going to be by a whole lot. I just think these are two really, really good teams. So when I say give me the Bills -1, I don't necessarily think the Bengals are going to lose. I just don't think it's going to be – I don't think they're going to lose by a lot.
No. It come down to a field goal. Come down to McPherson. Who knows?
Right.
Rick the Rock has some points. The Bengals D is better than the Bills, and they won't be able to shut down our 3-headed receiver monster.
There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, the Bengals defense, metrically speaking, is better than Buffalo. They haven't faced an offense like this, in my opinion, though. So a lot of the data that we have is against teams like, and I'm not saying that, all we did was beat bad teams, because that's not true, but you haven't faced this level of a team either. You did play Kansas City, and they ran up and down the field on you and put up almost 400 yards of offense, and they did score a decent amount of points. So it's not like we shut them down. You shut down Mahomes, but they still took the opportunity to run well.
Yeah.
I don't see us shutting them down. I just think it's going to be one of those things. If they win, it's in typical Zach Taylor Bengal fashion, where they find a way to get a turnover late and something goes the right way. I don't see them blowing them out. I don't see them winning handily. If it happens, it's going to be a freaking emotional roller coaster, and that's just the way it's going to be with this team.
I'll put it this way: if we can hold Patrick Mahomes, who I believe is the best quarterback in the NFL at this point in time, we've got a damn good one here in Cincinnati. But I think Patrick Mahomes is the guy right now. If we can hold him to 223 yards passing, which is his lowest of the season, we can do it to Josh Allen too.
Yes, we can.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So, yeah, that's my point. I'm sticking to it.
I'm just very cautious. I mean, it's a high-powered team.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No doubt. No doubt. Yeah, that's going to be a slobber knocker, as they say. It's going to be crazy.
No, I'm just not looking at the schedule. But who's the best receiver we've played this year? Top of your head.
Oh, gosh.
Because Diggs is going to be up there.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, he's going to be hard to stop for sure.
Travis Kelce, I consider wide receiver. We
That
stopped
was
him.
the first person that came to my head, but tight end.
I mean, Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, they did well with Hill and Waddle. But you also had a Woozy at the time. So it's kind of.
They say, I don't worry until Bengals find a way. They just find a way.
Lou will find a way for sure. I'm curious how they're going to do it. Just what coverages they're going to roll out there. Is it going to be cover 2? Are they going to give Cam Taylor-Britt some safety help? I don't know. There's a lot of different ways, and Gabe Davis worries me, and they've been using Isaiah McKenzie well. Just there's a lot to digest there. A lot.
I hope they're watching a lot of film.
Trust me.
Hey guys, you agree with this? In Lou, we trust.
In Lou, we trust.
Yeah. Sure. He gives me reason more often than not, for sure.
Absolutely.
Right.
There's only been a handful of games where it hasn't looked great in the second half. So.
Right.
Yeah. Well, we've got one more big thing before we're going to get out of here. We put out there today that we're going to do a giveaway, and we're doing it's not a big giveaway, but it's a hat of your choice, either from Fanatics or Cincy Hat. So you can pick what you want. We've got a bunch of names on this wheel here. I'm going to add it. There's a lot of names in here. I do want to shuffle it a couple times just to make sure that we're good. You guys tell me when to click spin.
Spin.
There we go.
Watch it be Meg again. She's won like every single one of our giveaways.
Chris.
Oh! Jason. Wow, Christine was so close. We'll have to tell her she almost won.
Yeah.
I'm writing it down so that way I've got it. All right. So Jason gets the dub.
Absolutely.
So we'll reach out to you, Jason, via DM. We'll let you know, and then we can get everything situated in what you want. So, Yaz, I think I speak for everybody on here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yaz.
Thank you so much for having me. This was fun, and I hope you all had a happy holidays, happy New Year, and let's go get the Bills.
Yep.
So, Yaz, will you be hanging out at all the tailgates? First the Bills, or are you going to be Lot 1, Bengal Gyms? Where are you going to be at?
I will for sure be at Bengal Gyms. This episode's going to be a little different. It's going to be more about the Bills fans that are there, unfortunately, just because we've already done Cincinnati episodes. So I just can't keep shoving Cincinnati in the screens. But I do have like an hour break before we go into the game, which I never have. Usually we just film 9 hours straight, but I got it's crazy. 9 hours usually for people that don't know. It's 9 hour film shoot. But I gave myself an hour break between 7 to 8:30. So 8:30 is kickoff. Obviously, I'll probably go into the game at 8, but from 7 to 8, I'll probably be at Bengal Gyms.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll be at Lot 1, and Glenn Goodberry, Joe Goodberry's brother, who's a big Bills fan.
So I'll probably be over there too, because I'd love to talk to him for this show. So I'll probably see you guys there.
Yeah, that's where all of us will be. We'll be hanging out over at Lot 1. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to seeing you.
Yas, once again, thank you so much for taking the time. This means a lot. So thank you for all you do. And Yas, keep doing what you're doing is all we ask.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me. This was great.
And we've got your website.
Yes, I was gonna say thank you so much. That was so sweet. I really appreciate you.
We've got that running, and then what we always like to do is let our guests kind of plug anything they got going on for the last part of the show. So the floor is yours. Tell us what you got going on. Anything in the works, whatever you got.
Yeah, thank you. So that's interesting. I don't really know. We have a lot of big changes coming soon, hopefully, but they're all kind of still in the works. But Ride with Yaz will continue up until the end of the season. So hopefully they will all be Cincinnati-based episodes, and we'll just run it all the way to the Super Bowl. I always post the teasers on my Twitter. That's probably the best place to find my content. And if anybody still needs tickets, I have a TickPick code that's Yaz15 in the app. It's not much, but tickets are expensive, so I'd take the discount. But yeah, that's really it. And thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
I got one last question.
Yes.
Is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Gosh, this goes around with everybody I talk to.
I'm like,
Drive me nuts. So.
No.
Thank you.
Yes. This has been like a 3-month gag.
Yes, it's been going on since after Halloween. Everybody's been getting on my case for this. Thank you so much, Josh. One of the few people.
Of course. Thank you, guys. I'll talk to you soon.
All right.
All right. Bye.
We'll see you.
Bye.
All right. Another episode down. So I say who day.
Who day?
I think that we got a big game. Think we got a shot. Think it's going to be a wild one. I don't see. I'm like Santori. It's going to be close. I don't think one team will blow out the other. Right. I could see it coming down to a Tyler Bass or Evan McPherson field goal.
Yeah, I think so.
Right? I don't know.
That's where I'm at. Normally I have a little more insight. This week I'm kind of like, I feel like the Bengals are just looking in a mirror with a little bit different of a quarterback. Really good receiving cores, decent run game at time, offensive line that is in defenses that can be opportunistic. I'm like, they're looking in a mirror right now, and I'm kind of like, they're at home. I don't know what else.
Gabe Davis and Isaiah McKenzie can torch you.
You've got, I mean, this is like one of those Brady Manning things from all those years ago. And it's like, I don't know what do you want me to say? It's just watch and find out. I'd love to be on the winning side of it, but it's also one of those things where if they lose a close one, it's going to suck for content for the week. But at the same time, it's like, it's the Bills. Like
they're the number 1 seed right now. So
right. Like there are worse things to happen than losing to one of the best teams. Like it's part of the process. You're not going to win them all.
Yep.
And Tori, like I say, man, I understand you like to go deep into all what happens, but buddy, life finds a way, man. You know, I know you're living by like the 2000s, and your Bengal dad likes to live by that too. But we're a new team now, man. We get this together. We find a way.
I don't live by that. I just live through experience with all the rest of the NFL. Shit happens, and if you think you've got a beat on what's going to happen, you're wrong.
No, I understand that. I'm just saying though, man. You know, like we were all nervous. I'll tell you the truth. I was kind of nervous for the rest of the teams we had to play. I didn't want to after the Carolina game. I was like thinking the same thing. But
I kind of thought it was overhyped. I was like, Tampa's not great. Dallas or the Patriots aren't great. They ended up being tighter games than I wanted, but I was like, Baltimore's not great. Everybody's like, oh my God, these final 6 games. I'm like, 3 of these final 6 teams suck. Like, why are we?
Right, but
we get half of them. I would be shocked if we didn't get at least half. And we've won all of them so far. So here we are.
I don't mean to call out Bengal Dad here or anything, but remember how Bengal Dad, like after the Carolina game, was thinking, look at the rest of the teams we have to play. I'm worried about this. We had our Patsy schedule and we blew it and all that. Bengal Dad was already, it sounded like he was all ready to call the season after that game. And I'm like, let's take this one game at a time, you know?
I think you are – I think you're looking too much into what he just has as realism and skepticism. He gets worried about the schedule. Yeah, nobody likes to see Kansas City, Buffalo, Baltimore on your schedule at the end of the year. But, I mean, it is what it is, and he understands that. I just – you can't tell me there was a single person on the planet looking at that schedule going, we got this. There wasn't.
No, I know.
It's the toughest schedule in the NFL. There's need for concern there.
Was just, you don't know who's going to be healthy, like the Lions, even if they lost to my point is, you look at
but when you look at that, you have to assume that all's fair in love and war. And if someone has a major injury, you're going to have one too. You're never going to run into a situation where you can look at a schedule and go, oh, well, Baltimore's going to be wiped out and we'll be healthy. Right. No. You know, Lamar's hurt. Well, 2 weeks from now, knock on wood, some weird shit could be happening here too that I never want to see again. But it's all feasible. So you do have to be concerned for that kind of stuff because you can't assume
I agree. You can't
you're going to be healthy.
You can't get all cocky, but I'm just saying I worry about Kansas City when I play Kansas City this week. I mean, I got people I told you, I got a buddy calling me today. Well, Greg, what are we going to do about the draft? Like, why are we talking NFL draft when the season's not even over yet? We're going to the playoffs.
Right.
I don't know.
I think they got to play us.
They got to play us.
And they got to play us at home.
Yes.
So we'll see what happens.
I'm just enjoying being good.
11-4.
Thank you, man. Say, Tori, that's the most positive thing I heard you say. Thank you. Enjoy being good, man. Let's keep this going, guys. Come on.
Yep, absolutely. One more thing before we head out. Crypt.
Song. Can anybody say?
No.
Took it off real quick.
I ain't got no songs, Crypt.
Right.
Well, I'm terrible at singing, but I could sing Tom Petty if you want me to.
No. Absolutely not.
Oh, shoot.
Greg brought out the whole freaking bat. He was going to break me.
No,
He's going to break his own phone. That's what's
I'm kidding. I'm going to break that Joe Burrow signed football. No, I'm kidding.
No. All right.
I'm hungry. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I got to figure something out.
I hear you, buddy.
Well, let's you want to call it?
Let's do this.
To the millions that were watching at home,